Are you an entrepreneur struggling to grow your business? Maybe your growth has stalled, your marketing strategies aren't quite delivering the results that you need? Then you need to meet Solomon Thimothy, an entrepreneur with over 15 years of experience dedicated to helping businesses scale. As the founder of One IMS and co-founder of ClickX, Solomon has developed a 10x framework as this method for exponential growth. By leveraging the power of SEO, lead generation, AI solutions, and more, Solomon has helped countless companies double their clients and their revenue.
If you make your thumbnails this way, you get 5 more views. Forget about that. Forget about that for a minute. Because all these tools are going to be changing everything. You could probably create the same content over and over and over and over again and just plaster the internet. Trust me, we do SEO. This is a great hack. Just make the best version of this thing on the planet.
Today, he's sharing with us his proven strategies for skyrocketing growth, mastering customer acquisition, and transforming startups into success stories. Welcome to The Creator's Adventure, where we interview creators from around the world hearing their stories about growing a business. Hey everyone, I'm Brian McAnulty, the founder of Heights Platform. Let's get into it. Hey Solomon, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you so much, Brian, for having me. I'm super excited.
Yeah, me too. So my first question for you is, what would you say is the biggest thing either that you did or you are doing that has helped you to achieve the freedom to do what you enjoy?
I think it was making that decision to get out and be your own boss. It's kind of like the biggest challenge that people have. You know, I talked to an entrepreneur today. He's been working for very, very big, successful companies in media, buying, advertising for businesses. But you know what? He's got the familiarity of the income. He's got the, he knows what to do. And he's like, man, I got a house, I got kids. This is going to be a big one. I'm not sure. And I said, you know what? I did it. And I said, everybody's got to do it. If you want to be an entrepreneur, you got to say no, right? And I said, let me tell you, I'm not missing my corporate job. And so that right there is the starting point, if you ask me, that decision. And I don't know if you know this, the word decision comes from chopping off all of their options, right? The word decision, like you got to get rid of it. I'm not going to go into too details, etymology of the word decision, but it really means to get rid of every other option. So entrepreneurs who are sitting around trying to figure out different options and trying to consider all odds and ends and noodling every idea, that's why they don't have the freedom. They can't figure out what is it they want to do.
So how many years were you in a corporate job before you decided to be an entrepreneur?
Not too long, Brian. My story is a little different. So I worked at high school, 4 years in college, helped a couple of startup companies, worked for my family. So it was all of that. My brother, on the other hand, he's my co-founder of our business. He worked at Fortune 500, so he had to let go of something substantial. I worked for bigger corporations, but there were no Fortune 500. But the fact of the matter is, they needed someone like me, but I wanted to do more, right? I wanted to color outside the lines. I wanted to give more, but then guess what happens, right? They tell you, guess what, Solomon, you're the chief, customer service person, or you're the graphic designer, you're the marketing person. You don't need to worry about the sales department. Like Brian, you should just stick with your guitars. You know what I'm saying? Leave the drums to someone else, right? And you're like, no, I want to compose, man. I want to put the whole thing together. And so that's kind of led me to say, you know what? I'm passionate about all these other things. How do I get my hands wet? How do I help someone at a full scale? So what I did is I started to build websites on the side. That was my first gig. I just built websites, and I learned how to build a website. By the way, there was no college that taught you how to build websites. I don't even think they teach that in college today, by the way. That's sad. But there weren't any school that were teaching this. I had to learn it on this own. It's early days of people building websites. And so Web 1.0, how's that, right? And so I put out some websites and people paid me. Small businesses paid me to get their website built. They never had a website before. That's how 17, 18 years ago. And so I would say, you know what? That was really good money. I can go and do this for a whole lot of people. And what happened is that they got all these websites built. 3 months later, I would reach out and be like, hey, Brian, how's your website, by the way? Like, they're like, Solomon, I'm not getting any sales. I'm not making any money. Okay. I don't know what you did. Yeah, I paid you $2,000 or whatever it is at the time. That's a lot more money than it is today. It's like $8,000 today. And so they're like, Solomon, I'm not getting anything. First of all, there's nobody searching for websites, Brian. Nobody. There was no like Lycos. I don't know how, if you remember, those were the search engines back then. Does that make sense? Like Netscape and stuff like that. And so we decided that our customers didn't want websites. They wanted leads. They wanted sales. They wanted more top line revenue. So whatever that is, that's what we need to do. So we got out of the website business. We morphed into what? A lead generation and customer acquisition business. That was the name. Like, that's what we're doing. Integrated marketing solutions. And what we do is lead generation, customer acquisition. Now we start to understand that what we're doing isn't pretty websites or cute sites. That's what I call them. They look really nice. At the time, I don't know if you remember, there was a thing called Flash. Everything was moving.
Yep.
I don't know. If you
I
know
built Flash sites. Yep.
Yeah. Flash was the thing. Macromedia, it's like, man, this is it. This is the next generation. Guess what? Flash was not readable by search engines. They didn't know anything. It was just an object. So you can tell, right? Like, those were passionate days. People were building beautiful sites in Flash, and everybody was like, wow, your website's so cool. But guess what? You didn't get any clients. Nobody knew your website was even real. So we switched gears. We didn't do any more Flash websites after that. Let's put it that way. What we did is build search engine optimization, content, and things like that, so we can get people showing up on their local searches. And then we start to buy Google ads. Obviously, Facebook ads wasn't a thing. We didn't have that. Amazon ads wasn't a thing. Google ads was a thing. And very few people knew how to do it. And so we started to buy Google ads for clients, and they started to get phone calls. Then we said, you know what? I think we got something. And that's literally kind of like the tipping point of what drove us to, any success that we have. I don't like to brag. I think, the way that you consider yourself successful is that you helped a lot of people. That's what it is.
Yeah, I like that. And I think you helped me realize something that I haven't really thought about myself, but I feel like I experienced some of that as well. That I started my business like 2008, 2009, also web design, things like that. And the internet was still so novel then that it was like the idea of having a website. Wow, I'm going to have this website, and then I'm going to get all these customers because I have this cool website. Not everybody has this website. But yeah, you then realize that it's not the website that they needed or that they even wanted. What they wanted was the results of getting these leads and getting these clients. And so you and I, it sounds like you especially, got to experience our actual customers going through that and realizing, oh, this is what I really need. And yeah, that's really interesting. Then you turned that into this marketing. So you have multiple businesses that you run. One IMS, ClickC or ClickX, and you're also an angel investor, startup advisor. What would you say is like some of the most exciting projects that you're working on right now?
Man, so being that web design company turned into a marketing agency and having, employees and payroll and all that stuff, it was probably the most, humbling experience, because I never knew that I'm going to do any of this. Nobody goes into it thinking this is going to be the thing. But what we did have is an amazing team that worked so hard, and we have great customer, loyalty, because we drove a lot of results. Other agencies start to take note and start to reach out to me and ask me for help and tools and things like that. One of the things that we built in that small agency that we were building is a technology company that sort of like one company gives birth to another company. This is something randomly comes to me. It's like, if you have a good business, it should give a baby. And that baby is another business in itself. Sometimes, that's what Amazon creates, the Amazon Video or the Amazon Pharmacy or the Amazon something, is because they had something that was working. And they're like, you know what? We got this other thing that literally could be a standalone business on its own. From like eBay came PayPal. You know what I mean? It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever the order that came in. So we gave birth to this platform software company because we needed a tool for ourselves as we're trying to scale a service company. And the only way to scale anything is through technology. You can't scale through people because they need something that is going to tell them what to do. We don't use paper and pencil anymore, right? So you got to have tools tell you, click this button or send this email, all this automation we built. And today I'm helping other agencies and other marketing consultants and other entrepreneurs scale their agencies because of the things that I've gone through and also the technology that we've built. And so today, the fun project that I'm working on is that what I wish I had when I started is ClickX today. People come into my world, they're saying, look, I'm about to lose my corporate job like the gentleman I told you, or I'm going to leave my corporate job, or I need a second business. I need a side hustle. I already have a successful retail business, but I really don't want to be the storefront guy. I want to build an online business. Or people that want to live where they want, work where they want, say, look, I realize that digital is where I want to be. I want to help people with social media. I want to help people with lead management or whatever it is, marketing automation. And they say, Solomon, could you help me? And you know what I tell them? Here's the tool. Here's how you generate leads. Here's how you close those into deals. Here's how you get people to do the work. So you literally can have a business in a box. And if that wasn't enough, where they get stuck, Brian, is that I don't have leads. I don't know anybody. I don't have a big book of contacts. So we're building a database of every single small business in America. So that you can come into my world, click a button and say, give me all the plumbers in my zip code, and boom, it shows up. And it doesn't just give you first name and last name of the plumbers and their website address. We're going to give you their Instagram profile, their Facebook page, their YouTube link, everything that is digital presence for them, how many reviews they got. So you can now tell them like, hey, you have a review problem. You know, I looked at a dentist in New York, Manhattan today, one of our agency partners. The last time he posted a video was 4 years ago on YouTube. Mm. And he's in Manhattan. I mean, this is not like in the rural area of someplace where YouTube may not be popular. Every single small business is hurting. So we're building those kinds of tools. And it's so fascinating because, you know, I was so fired up back then, but I was only serving a small market in Chicago. I mean, we barely went 50 miles radius. You know, we were doing really well with just that. Just relationship building and building, you know, relationship selling things. Today, we want to build that database so that anybody can go and pull up small businesses in 3 and 5 mile radius, farm that area, and build a $1 million business. Easy.
Got it. So can you explain, I know you've got this 10X framework. Can you explain what that is and how it helps entrepreneurs?
100%. So a lot of people come into my world. This is kind of like the businesses that come into my world. They want to get better results. They want to grow fast. And one of the things I tell them is, if you want to grow from where you are right now, let's say you're $1 million business, and a lot of our companies, there's you know, maybe 5 million or whatever it is, they're looking to get an established marketing presence. Let's say they want to go to 10, 15, $20 million. The obvious things that they think that they have to do when they start working with us is that they need to add more services, right? This is really true. They say, well, we don't offer this, we don't offer this, we don't offer this, my competition does this, 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 this. So should we be adding those services? Because, you know, we're kind of doing a deep dive, looking at them, looking at the competition. And we said, no, it's the other way around. In fact, if you add all those things, you're going to be so heavy, you can't move anymore. You have all of these employees that can't keep up with you. But if you just cut down some more of what you're doing that is not making you money, the probability of you reaching your goals is so much greater. So we start to chop up. Not only do we chop up some of the services that are unprofitable, we then help them get rid of some of their marketing spend that is not working. Does that make sense? We get rid of things that they're not working. So they might spend money in their local events, their 5K runs, and all of these things because they live and work, you know, wherever it is, but they don't drive any leads. And so we give them a formula, a formula that drives results. And we call that the growth formula. All right. So the growth formula is very, very simple. It basically is acquisition plus retention equals growth. There's two sides to it. You got to acquire clients, acquire leads on left side. You got to retain those leads. You got to retain your customers on the right-hand side. This drives growth. Now,
Yeah, the
beyond this,
retention is such a big one, and I think so many people skip that, and they get attracted to growth, and they say, "Look at this! Look how fast it's growing." So it's immediately it's going to be worth this, or it's going to make that, and then they only realize a year later, or maybe longer than that even, that they have a retention problem, and that they actually can't grow because they're not retaining their customers.
absolutely. And I couldn't agree with you more. And we've learned this by failing a lot, right, Brian? I'm the first one to tell you that I don't know everything and I'm going to figure it out. And we realized that all of our best of the best clients that were getting 10 times the results of anyone else that we were working with, they had campaigns that were running towards these things, which is creating demand and capturing demand in the marketplace, nurturing those leads and nurturing their customers and upselling them, cross-selling them, giving them add-ons. All these things were working for them. So we said, wait, what are these people doing differently than my other customers? Because we have a book of business, we can cross-reference everybody's web traffic, and you know what I mean? We can just look for kind of like opportunities and similarities and things. And we realized, like, okay, when you strip everything out, which is all the pretty stuff, like, oh, Facebook ads or video or whatever, what they're really doing is they're creating demand at scale. That means that they're trying to post all this content, create stuff, anything from press release to brochures, you name it. People are getting to know them. It's awareness at scale. And then that's like 95% of the market. There's 5% of the market that are ready to buy your products and services, like right now. However, they don't know you exist. That's why you need to run things like Google Ads, because when they search, if you don't show up, they go with whoever that showed up. They don't know any better. That's just how Google works. That's how you work. We all work. And if you don't show up in the maps area, like a retail business, there's only 3 spots. Then guess what? They don't pick you. They go to somebody else. So the reason why we push those things is so we can get that quick sale, that the people that are ready to make the buying decision right now. That's the acquisition side. Then you generate all these email addresses, phone numbers, contacts, right? Like you and I are probably sitting on thousands of people on your mailing list, listeners that are listening to this podcast, subscribers on YouTube. Well, what are we going to do if we just put out one piece of content once a year? They're not going to be nurtured. So we need to get them over to getting more pieces of content from us. So all the creators watching today, they want to make a lot of money. Well, look, it's not just enough to get a bunch of people to our channel and like us and never see our video again. We got to get them hooked. You got to get that link tree working. You got to put offers in front of them. Does that make sense? You got to get them to come back. You want to do everything on the right-hand side so those people still like you and trust you, because tomorrow they're going to get introduced to a new creator and they're going to go with that person or they're going to be watching their stuff. There needs to be this loop, and it's in the shape of this infinity because, Brian, you and I know that we're never done building our businesses.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm curious if you can expand more on this actually, because I saw, I think one of your video clips on social media, and you were talking about finding the right strategy and how that's so important. And I think it's interesting, and I'm curious if you could share with our audience like what that strategy is for you, because I think they would find it interesting that like you have, it looks like 10 to 20,000 followers on like each of your different social media accounts, and like you're not quite like internet famous or anything yet,
Not
but
at
you
all.
clearly have all these successful businesses. And so I'm curious, like for you, what is that strategy? Where do you find that you get the customers coming from? Because I know there's creators out there that hear, okay, I should create content. And like they just keep doing something, but it's not necessarily the right thing for their business.
Right. Yeah, no. So fortunately, we run ads and referrals and things like that, because these are very, when you're in this consulting kind of business, not everybody's a good fit, right? So we do a lot of this so people can see us. They recognize us that we're not some fly-by-night brand. That's the reason why I put out content. Now I'm dealing with CEOs of bigger organizations, and I can never tell them to do something that I wouldn't do myself. So they see me firsthand creating content every single day. I don't send an email newsletter today for all of these companies without a video that I made personally, which means that I make a lot of videos every single week. So we can keep sending email newsletter because that's the nurture side on the right-hand side. So if anybody goes to any of these companies and register, you're going to see a lot of content that we create. What we're trying to do is find those businesses or those individuals who have already kind of drank the Kool-Aid, if I may, on inbound marketing, on getting customers to find you, becoming a thought leader, right? They see that. They're like, you know what? That's what I need. Because you and I know that if you're kind of doing outbound, now I'm a big outbound guy, but you got to find the right people to knock on the doors. You can't just email blast every business. They're not a good fit, right? So if you're trying to do the knocking on doors, you're going to knock on 98 doors before you get one person to say, I'm interested. But if it's inbound, they're already building rapport with you with all of your websites and content, especially if you're a creator creating short form content or music or whatever it is. They're like already in love with you. All you have to do is invite them in for a conversation and let them know like, hey, this is what we do. Or if it's a digital online sales or to a course or something, let them see that experience and say, you know what, I really want to buy this thing. I really want to engage with you. That's what that experience is. So where we get our customers is mostly coming in for a free training. And the way we promote the training is by ads. They're not coming in because of my organic, which like I said, I use that as my means of getting the word out, keeping tabs on everybody and nurturing my followers and whatnot. But I use ads, very specific types of ads. They watch this ad saying, hey, do you want to grow your business? Because we've been doing this for so many years and we have a proven track record and a framework like you've seen right here. This is literally the formula. It's not an idea. This is the E equals MC squared kind of thing. You don't change it. You don't add +1 to it. This is what you need to do. And I can show you how to do this for yourself. And it's not a pitch to work with me just so they know where they might be doing something wrong. So they come into our world, they watch our training, they say, you know what? I want to book a call with these guys because they really truly get it. Because this formula doesn't say you should do SEO, Brian. That's what an agency might pitch you or a consultant, like very tactical. This is 100% strategy, right? This is boardroom talk. They don't usually say, well, we got to buy some ads on X because we love Elon. Like, that's not what I would say. I would say, what are we doing to get the people that are making buying decisions right now to get to you instead of somebody else? Now it's a different question. It's like, well, I don't know where they are. How do we find them? What do they look like? What's the persona? Do you know what size companies do we want? Who's our ideal customer profile? It's a whiteboard moment, right? We're sticking things on the wall, trying to figure out who they are. And then we want to know where they hang out. We want to know what podcast they watch or listen to. That's a very different thing. That's what we want people to do. Your audience, for every single person watching, listening, they exist somewhere. Now, they might be on the platform that you're creating content on. They may not be. And you may want to do some commenting on some of the popular, you know what I mean? Popular brands or or people, so that some of those people could get exposed to you. It's just a great way to just leave really good comments or create content, giving a comment or a feedback to somebody else's piece of content. Like, you could do that to hack in front of other people's audiences so that they can get introduced to you, which is getting in front of them, capturing the demand.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and I realize like your particular business selling to businesses directly is going to be different than the average like individual creator who is going to be more focused on content creation. But I think that's so helpful that you explained like why you're doing the content, and it totally makes sense because I think people would look at this and see like, wow, so well, you're doing all these things, like, what do I do? What's going to work? And so in your case, you're proving to all the businesses, like, yeah, I may tell you that it would be good for you guys to do content, but like, you can do it. Look, I'm doing it and I'm doing it every day. And this is how it works. And so, yeah, I could see how that instills a lot of trust and helps businesses that are interested in you feel like, oh, well, this makes sense. Like, he's doing all this. So
Absolutely.
any other recommendations for like the creator out there who's saying, okay, I've got to identify where my customers hang out. Like, how do they do that? And how do they figure out like what's the right thing for them to be working on? I know that's a complex question, but
Absolutely.
What would you say is the easiest way to look
But
at it?
I think I think we could simplify this, right? So at the end of the day, they're looking for something that you can give. That's the real ultimate thing. They're looking for something. What is it that they're looking for? One of the best places, I'm not going to recommend any tools that you have to pay for. Every tool I'm going to recommend will be free. And the first tool I'm going to recommend you is Google. And one of the greatest things about Google is today, more than ever, you punch in your passion. Your passion. You could be passionate about lemon trees. I don't care what you like to create content around. But right below that, Google will give you questions that people are asking about your lemon tree questions. Like, where do they grow? Where do you get lemons from? What's the difference between lime and lemon? I mean, look, go and create that content. There's people looking for that. You don't have to worry about, the hook. You don't have to worry about the perfect background music, because again, people get so tactical on these videos, and that it's like you have to put this on top and this sticker and this color and this. Look, those are the kind of things that are going to fade out in about 3 months. And TikTok's going to come up with a new thing, and it's going to throw away the old thing. So what you and I want to do is create content about what people care about, what people are looking for, and just simply create those types of content. Because what's going to happen is the algorithm is going to show that content in front of the people that care about lemon trees or oranges or whatever it is that we like. If it's music, it's about guitar, it's about acoustic versus electric, whatever it is, you just tell the world what you know about that thing, how to compose music or how to compose anything, right? Then they're like, wow, this is good. What you're doing is you're going to get those like-minded people to come to you. Those people are going to get attracted to you. And so what you want to feed the algorithm is more of the same, not different things. So you're going to say, this is the best, guitar learning channel on whatever platform of your choice, right? I'm going to give away everything I know. Don't charge people, please. You know how much stuff I give away for free? I could charge people a lot of money for my workshops and my trainings and everything else. Sometimes they come in and say, wow, this is freaking insane. But you know what? They're probably a company that makes 10 or $20 million. They can write me a check for $1 million, and I could have made $20 if I charged. Honestly, I made $100. Which one's bigger, Brian? $1 million, $500,000, or $20?
Yeah, definitely.
Right? So I don't want to charge anybody. Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree. You should really, especially course creators, like community builders, they get hung up on this because they think, oh, I've got to keep all my stuff behind this paywall, right? Because that's how I'm going to make money. But you're making the money because you're delivering the specific result to the person. And so otherwise, YouTube is there, right? They can go on YouTube and learn about these things. And so ideally, you want them to learn about that from you. And when they really say, you know what, I want this result. I want to be able to get there, and I want somebody to help me do that. And the closer to the implementation of that, that's when they come to actually purchase something from you or from whoever's listening. And I would say with the algorithm and everything nowadays, I feel people get discouraged a little bit because they think, oh, I'm not getting as many views or as many followers as it seemed like was possible a few years ago. Right. But I actually think even though attention is all spread out now, and even though it feels like you're getting less views or it's harder to get attention to your content, I think it's all better now still, because the algorithm is so good that when somebody sees your content, it's like what you said, it's the right person and they want to see it again. So instead of being worried about oh, I had a few hundred people saw this post, I guess I should make something completely different. Maybe I'll get more people to see it. Well, the few hundred people are interested in exactly what you were making that about. So that is your audience.
Yeah, if you can get one person that needs that thing, you're golden, in my opinion. Obviously, you're going to get discouraged. I get it. But what I love to, encourage somebody out there is just look me up. So this ClickX business that we started that helps agencies. So many people come into my world by watching the YouTube video on how to start an agency, how to scale an agency. And then they learn this concept called white label fulfillment, which is you can have somebody else do your work and you don't have to do your own work in our space. I'm just giving you my example.
Yeah.
They watch that video and they book calls with our team, and then they buy extremely high ticket products and services because that's the need that they're in. and they're really amazing relationships that we build with entrepreneurs. But when I made that video, I had no idea who was going to see it, whether it was even going to rank. And guess what? That's precisely what you're saying, Brian, is like, make it anyway, because those things that you create are assets. They're going to sit there forever. So you could technically be cashing out for the next 100 years if you have a funnel where they click on it and there was a link in your bio or a link in the description. They go to some landing page, they watch your, VSL or your 5-minute spiel on what is it that you do, with a call to action that says, join my free Facebook group or my school or whatever, you know what I mean? Like any app of choice, right? And then they go into now they're in your world or subscribe to your email. Now you have them to nurture, go follow the growth formula. And in those emails, you drop a link to the next masterclass that you're having, or the course that you're creating, or a sneak peek of your book that you're writing. And now you got people hooked. Literally, this is what I do. I mean, look, here's my framework. Go and hack it, right? But this is what I teach people for my clients. And then they do the exact same thing, because every single day people are looking for whatever their problems are. All of our clients, there's $10 million or $100 million. They're selling something. One of our clients, they sell Christian books, or they're a publisher. So there's people looking for that. And their audience might be church leaders searching for, where do I buy books at, wholesale prices? If they don't create any content about it, no one's going to find them. It's the fact of the matter, right? There's other companies that are doing very highly technical manufacturing, engineering, services. There's not going to be any views for that content because it's so technical, nobody even knows how to search it. But there's that one person who's going to watch that, say, that's the company. That's what we're trying to do. You see that?
Exactly. Yeah.
Call them up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So if you're in this niche thing, you don't have to be famous on the internet. And if you think about it to yourself, would you say the thing that you're going to say to one other person if they were going to potentially buy from you? And I think a lot of people would say yes to that already. Some people might say, oh, well, it's not quite worth my time, or, oh, well, you say that, but if I was actually going to make a video, it's going to take more time than that. Okay, so what if it was 5 people that you got to talk to? Or what if it was 100 people? And what if it's about 100 people, but it has a chance to be way more than that? Or what if it's 100 people, but next year it's 100 more, or 1,000 more, or 10,000 more?
Absolutely.
And what if it does become 10,000 more, YouTube's going to pay you too. So it's not just your own business. And Absolutely. So I think it really makes sense for creators to find a way that they enjoy to create content and then try that.
And by no means get discouraged because of your short-term thing. Think about the long game. One of the things I've learned, Brian, I hope this is encouraging to somebody. If you look at all of these publicly traded companies out there, every 90 days, they got to give a quarterly earnings. We sold this many iPhones, or Apple doesn't say that anymore, but they'll tell you that their iPhone demand is softening in China, or people aren't buying as much, but they don't give you any quantified, numbers. But other companies will tell you that we're not seeing great things. So what are their employees chasing to do? They're chasing numbers. They're just trying to get the next quarterly report to look better than the last one, because guess what? They're under the gun, because that's what it is. Now, all of these companies, when they started off, they were thinking about the best interest of their customers, the best interest of their customer service team, and everything else. But over time, what happens is everything is like, hey, if you don't perform, you're going to get booted out, and then they're going to sell your stocks for $5 less, and then it's going to start going down, and then there's all this tremendous amount of pressure. But what I encourage you guys to do is look longer than your competition. Your competition might be thinking that I just need to make $50,000 or $100,000 this year, and I'll do whatever things I need to do to make $100,000. So I'll do brand this and a bunch of affiliate this or courses and squeeze my little followers out of money. Or I'll look at my next 10 years. That's way longer than all of these guys put together. But 10 years, there's going to be a lot of shift. There's going to be so much change. But if I just have a little bit longer horizon, I promise you I'm going to beat every one of these guys, because they're not thinking like that. They're looking at this last YouTube video to say that if you make your thumbnails this way, you get 5 more views. Forget about that. Be more concerned about the problems you solve than the little hack that I told you, like the music overlay or the sticker or that and the other. And because we feel like that one little thing is going to give me 5 more views, forget about that for a minute. Because all these tools are going to be changing everything. You could probably create the same content over and over and over and over again and just plaster the internet. When they're looking for you, they're going to see the latest version of that. Trust me, we do SEO. This is a great hack. Just make the best version of this thing on the planet.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think more creators and entrepreneurs should think about the long game like that. And if you're not, I think a good way to frame it is like, well, what would you be doing in
Instead,
5 years?
yeah,
And yeah, and if the answer is nothing, I would be doing this, then great, you're on the right track. Just keep doing it.
exactly.
And if it's something, oh, well, it's completely different, then maybe you have to reevaluate some things and what you're actually
Yeah,
doing in your business. But yeah, if you say, you know what, I would still want to keep doing this, then like you got it. You kind of
absolutely.
win. So just find a way that you can keep doing it and you'll get there.
You're already your own boss. Like, are you going to go and do something different? Like, what more can you possibly do? You're like, for most creators out there, like I have an office. This is like, I have to come to work. For them, they could live in anywhere. Like they could live in any country they want that they choose, right? I know entrepreneurs living in like Colombia. I met people in all these different countries. They're like, dude, life is good. It's amazing. It's because I'm your own, my own boss. So they can live life on their own terms. So what could you possibly want to do? Do you want to do something different? I would say double down on the long game. Think longer. If you can just think one more day than everybody else, you're going to be winning. I'm just reminded of Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett didn't buy stocks because it was going up or it was going down. He actually never cared. That was not what he was chasing. He was chasing these really, really good companies that are undervalued because they themselves don't know how to, their intrinsic value wasn't like available for people to see. So you start to study them and really see their books and say, wow, this company is so undervalued. They're worth like 10 times more. Then he'd deploy his cash, not because next quarter, Brian, there was going to make a bunch of money. He keeps them for 30 years. He
Yeah.
wasn't buying for 3 years, and everybody else is trying to buy and sell and make this, the best banging summer ever. And I don't know, cash out because they don't want to leave the money just in case, the stock market goes down. Warren's not worried. And so what does that teach us as entrepreneurs? I think we're chasing a lot of like short-term momentum stocks or short-term ideas or short-term, anything that's out there, little gimmicks. Maybe that's the word. Oh, people are doing challenges, so let's go do a challenge. Oh, wait, they're doing, webinars. Let's do a webinar. Negative. Just make like the one thing, the flagship thing, make it better than everybody else. And if you have no other way to market, run some ads on Facebook and see if people could buy it. Forget about all the gimmicks. That's what I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Solomon. Well, I've got one more question for you, and that is on the show, I like to have every guest ask a question to the audience. So if you could ask our audience anything, whether something you're curious about or just kind of want to get people thinking, what would that be?
Yeah, absolutely. One question I like to ask, when a prospect comes into my world and I have a conversation with them is like, what is your biggest roadblock or barrier that's in their way of reaching their goals, whatever that is. Maybe, for some of us that's listening is getting more found on these places or getting more followers or getting to figure out what their niche really is. I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs that just don't know what do they want to go. So I would say really dive deep into that roadblock or barrier that's getting in the way. That would be the question that I want them to ponder. Honestly, Brian, I think they should email you what those challenges are, so we can make some more content to help them out. That's what I would do.
Yeah, sounds great. All right, Solomon. Well, thanks so much for coming on the show. Before we get going, where else can people find you online?
I put together a free website. I was on so many podcasts. They would always come and ask me, what's the website? Where can they learn more? So I would start spelling my last name, and I can guarantee you that they would lose me. So I bought a domain name that's 10x growthformula.info. On there is a little page that explains this growth formula in depth. It's like a free little video. Go enter it and watch it. Why? Because like I said, what we're trying to accomplish is right in front of us. There's people making buying decisions. There's people looking for what it is that you do, but they just don't know you yet, right? They don't know you exist. So your job is to get in front of them. And so you can go and get what's yours, man. Claim what's yours.
All right, awesome. Thanks, Solomon.
Thank you, Brian.